Hello, everybody. My name is Benny from iShook. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Jared. He's from
Oh,
Loaded Deck, the creator, the founder, the maker of Loaded Deck movie. So I'm here with Jared. Let's open up with Jared. Jared, how you doing? How's everything? What's
oh,
new?
doing all
What's
right.
happening?
Yeah, just knocking away on this movie and stuff like that. I mean, what's going on with you? What's happening over there?
Well, here in New York is a little bit crazy with the new Trump indictment nonsense, but it's okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It is what it is. And then we
Oh
have
yeah, whatever it takes. Let's make sure he goes to jail and doesn't become president again.
yeah, it's already
We got
no
to keep this senile
nobody.
guy in office.
Right. Nobody likes an unfair play. That's for sure. Anyway,
Yeah,
we also had in JFK two people dying, God forbid, a whole thing collapsed on them. Two workers passed away. And yeah, and then the JFK was blocked because of this indictment and because of workers passing away from and they were not undocumented, by the way, workers. That's what I got inside information about. But anyway, listen, let's get back to Loaded Deck. Yeah, that's the basic thing happened in New York, the basic news.
yeah,
Welcome to iShook News.
yeah. I guess
So,
the crazy thing here is there's been a bunch of rain in California. We're not used to it.
right.
Wow, what do we do? There's water from the
What are we
sky.
gonna do? You don't got the jackets for it.
We're not ready for this.
You
What's
know.
all this water? Why are we paying so much money if it's going to rain?
Yeah, there's no point. So talk to me. What's up with Loaded Deck? I know we had a bunch of pods with Chris Voss. What's new? What are we doing? A lot of people's asking what like where did it come? The idea of a Loaded Deck movie. Why did you even, think about making such a movie or writing such a script? What's your vision behind this thing?
Well, I mean, for me, when it comes to movies and stuff, it's the storytelling that really, it draws people in. That's what we love. That's what we go to movies for. Feel something to see these characters kind of live through them for a moment, get out of our own world and mess and into another world. And I mean, this one, the initial idea was kind of silly. It was Quentin Tarantino movie, like watching one of those and be like, what if he did this, but he made it like a romantic comedy instead of what happened if he did one of those, which I guess maybe he kind of did when he wrote True Romance, but he didn't make that movie, but so someone else did. But the just started kind of playing with that idea. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a fun thing to play with, and kind of created this thing around this romantic kind of character, almost ridiculously romantic, a guy who should be in romantic comedy, a guy who should be in Sleepless in Seattle, someone who belongs over there, and then just throw him into this violent crime world of Tarantino, where he's seeing these crazy moments of violence and stuff, but he's kind of seeing them through these rose tinted glasses, to where it's like, oh, this is his meet cute, where he's meeting this girl who's actually the boss of this little crime group that he infiltrates as an undercover cop, and he's like falling in love with her, amidst violence of assassins getting blown away and, and stuff like that. So, but really fun story, a bunch of fun characters. And so when I first started making, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this together. It's really fun. I'll do it with some friends. We'll do an ultra low budget, thing. But as I started sending it around to people and getting feedback, they're like, oh well, you gotta go with this. This is too good just to do as a little tiny side fun project. You make this into one of your real projects. So okay, and I started sending around a little bit, and I saw an interview with Kevin Sorbo where he was talking. I was like, oh man, there's a character in this film called Aces, that he would be really good and interesting in that role. It's a different role than what he normally plays, but man, he would be really cool in that role. So I just contacted his agent, kind of a long shot sort of thing, because I hadn't really set up anything much for the movie yet. But it's like, hey, can I send you the script, producing this movie? And like, oh, all right, so send the script. And so then, a few days later, rather than hearing back from the agent, I heard directly from Kevin. He's like, oh, I love this. This is great. Let's make this movie. So he jumped on, immediately was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. Let's make it. So I brought him on, not only as an actor for that role, but as a producer on the thing too, to help us when we're going through the production stuff, because he's got a lot of experience in that area as well, and a lot of great team members that he could bring in, as well as a distribution end that he's had a lot of success with on his other films, that's going to help us to be able to make money with this thing. And it's been kind of like that, where as far as getting actors and stuff on board, like I've got Quentin Aaron, who's the main guy from The Blind Side, who's terrific in that movie, a great actor. Look at that, sent him the script, was like, read it, if you like it, got this role for you.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, this is great, I'm on board. That with a few different people, Dean Bakar, we signed on. Eventually, I brought on a casting director as well, where she'll get much more busy as we get the funding in place, as we go after the two leads in the thing. We're gonna go
Definitely.
after some names for those couple of spots. But she sent it over to Daniel Baldwin, and he was in instantly. It's because there's like this big bad evil kind of overlord.
Yeah, he
sort of
mentioned our last pod. He
that
mentioned
he's
our
like,
last pod about that, right?
yeah, but I mean, I shouldn't really call him evil necessarily, because as you go along, you kind of learn, kind of why he does what he does, and like who he is, and stuff underneath. That's kind of interesting. Gives a little bit of a turn in the movie. But he's just this character that carries so much bravado, and like walks into a room and people are afraid, whisper something into someone's ear and someone's dead, kind of thing. And Daniel's like, yeah, I want to play that kind of character. And so he jumped on board, right away too. So I mean, we've had great success as far as, when people read the script, they get excited, they jump on board. Got a great DP on board.
Okay, well, let's stop. What does DP mean?
Oh, that's a director of photography.
Okay, who's the DP?
Yeah, so that's Travis Prow. He's incredibly good. I mean, he's in demand, always shooting stuff. And how he does a lot of shows that he's on, but he's kind of pushing more towards the narrative end, and really loves.
So he's what we would call the main director. He'll be the main director in the show.
No. So he'll be the director of photography. So I'll be the director, but he'll be the director of photography. So he's the one who kind of executes the vision, as far as like here's how we make that shot work that we want to get,
Okay.
which he is fantastic at. And helping me put together, like he's got a crew of people for the electrical crew, the camera crew.
So he's going to be like more guiding the project to make sure it's a successful, production in a sense, right?
Yeah. He's huge in getting that production value, like making those shots just pop and look beautiful.
Is there any way we can get him on a pod, like on a?
Yeah, we could bring him in. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think we want to educate the people also about how movies are made and how
absolutely
their independent content on our platform, right? I mean, that's what we want. We want people. I heard, by the way, I don't know if you recently saw the recent article. Netflix is cutting back on independent films and focusing on making high-end production right now. So they're cutting out the ability where people have the ability to make, I guess, these independent films and get them recognized. I guess they don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix has always been a little bit that way anyway. I mean, with Netflix, it's always been more of a Netflix.
Yeah, but I think it's a big deal, right?
Yes.
But I think it's a big deal announcing something,
yeah,
as opposed to keeping your mind open, right?
Yeah, but you look at most of their movies. I mean, they actually are on the producing end of. I mean, you're still talking like Adam Sandler. You're talking like movies with
they want to get to that high end A-listing.
Yeah.
They want to, but I got it. But the biggest movies that have been successful are the low budget movies. The biggest movies.
Well, yeah. So often they're very successful. I mean, you've got your Avatars and you've got these superhero movies that are bringing $1 billion. Sort of things that are huge, but they have budgets of million. But then sometimes they'll spend 100 million and it'll flop.
Right. So it's a business aspect of it. Right. Yeah. So it's a business aspect. I can make 10 low budget movies that make me $1 billion, or 20 make me $1 billion, and I have 20 pieces of content that will be in your portfolio, right, in your roster in the film industry. or I can just do that one big movie and have a higher risk ROI on it, you
Yeah.
know, and then go see what happens. I know one of the movies with Brad Pitt recently tanked, right? Like where there
Yeah,
was,
yeah. I mean, you have that sort of thing that happens, all the time. It really comes down to that story. Like if people can't connect with the story, if it's not a good story, if it's not well told, it doesn't matter that it's got all the explosions, it's got all the crazy things. Like they don't you don't want to see it. Like I don't know if you've ever, I mean, I'm sure you've turned on a movie and the first thing they do is this giant car chase, and like
yeah, they like open up with high, like with some,
and it's like okay, it looks cool, but you don't care about it because you don't know what the stakes are in that car chase. You don't
right,
know
right,
who the characters are, right? It doesn't really matter to you, right? I mean, if they make it really extremely cool, then all right, I'm going to give them something, a little bit of time as I'm watching this. But they need to at least try to have the main character that's inside of that car chase start to show who their character is somehow while they're driving
no, no
this car
doubt,
off a
no
cliff
doubt.
or whatever,
Yeah, by the
right?
way, it's a very big thing
Yeah.
that you got like a person like Kevin Sorbo, and you got Daniel Baldwin, and you got all these actors and actresses to just join in.
The low budget movies, when you're talking with this one, talking 3 million, 2.5, that kind of range, is you don't have to have this huge hit for it to make money.
Right,
So you just have to have some sort of reasonable sort of return on it. You'll make money as long as it gets out there a little bit. So, and you've got markets all over the world to put it in. You've got theatrical that you can do when you have a few stars like this. It's interesting. Like AFM put out maybe like a year ago or something like that. They put out a big research thing that they did, where they looked at all of the independent movies of 2019, and it was amazing, like how high the percentage of movies were that actually got some sort of theatrical distribution. Um, you know, Usually they'd be limited in just certain cities and stuff like that for a lot of them, uh, but these independent movies, didn't have a single known actor. So I mean that puts Loaded Deck way ahead of the curve that we've already
right.
got, several that they're on board, and as we go, we're going to get a couple more as well. And
Question is, can loaded deck
always got,
concept,
yeah.
can a loaded deck concept that you made here be redone with another script, or is it something that you would have to like maybe review a script? I mean, because you obviously we're working on trying to create iShook Productions, and this will be probably one of the first iShook production movies. It's not probably, it will be. I don't like to say probabilities. I like to say it will be, and envision it and make it happen. So, with that being said, how do we create another sequence or another style where we get a movie and we get actors and actresses to say, "Wow, I like this movie. Let's commit." How do we get that to happen?
It's the script.
Okay.
Is the first thing. I mean, with this one, it's been entirely the script that pulled people in. Um, as you go along, there's also oh, this person's involved, then I'm interested in doing it. So there are other ways that people get
Right.
pulled in.
Right.
But I mean, even uh, recently, I saw an interview. Oh, oh goodness, with why am I going blank on his name? Um, the British actor who's so charming and been
Liam Nielsen.
uh no
Greg, what's his name from you talking about from 007?
no he's in Dungeons and Dragons that just came
Oh,
out.
that guy. I forgot his name. Okay, yeah. Anyway,
But not Chris Pine as the main guy, but
I know what you're talking about.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Okay,
Hugh
yes,
Grant.
yes.
I don't know why I blanked on his name, but he was talking about Dungeons and Dragons in particular, and like why he signed on to that movie, and again it was a script thing. Like he got sent the script, and he'd heard of Dungeons and Dragons, of course, but never really played it. Didn't and his initial thing that he was saying in the interview was that's probably not for me. But he read the script and said, oh, he was so entertained by it and moved by it, which is a rare thing. Like scripts don't tend to impress him,
Right,
which is if you read as many scripts as I've read, like if you're a producer, you're an actor, you're in the industry, you get sent a bunch of scripts. They tend to be bad. Like
Right.
most are not very good. So it's a good story that has good characters, that has all the elements that you want to see uh, in a movie. It does stand out.
So what's your
And
background that you're saying that you read so many scripts? What's that background?
well, yeah. So over the years, I'm a producer. So I've been associate producer on a number of things. I'm producer on this film. I've I'm also a writer, screenwriter. I've written things for different people, and so people will send things to me like, oh, can I get your advice on this, or I'm trying to find this, or can you produce this? Can you help me get in with this? And so I can send a lot of scripts just because of that. And I've gotten to the point now to where it's like, all right, well, send me first a synopsis, and let me at least look at that before I look at the script, because most of them are horrible. You don't want to finish reading it, but every once in a while you get the script. It's like, oh, this person knows what they're doing. They've
So
worked on this for.
you're saying potentially we can like create a depository where people can just submit scripts and we can just review them.
Well, we can absolutely do that. So with iShook, one of the cool things I think we could set up. We're trying to fund these movies and stuff, and try to make a platform where people can actually be creators themselves and be on this. Is where we can set up. Hey, we're submitting scripts, we're reading them for each other, and we start seeing the cream of the crop kind of rise to the top, and actually find these good scripts. It'd be like, hey, if that script's good enough, then we'll go ahead and make that the next, loaded deck, the next thing that we're going to do a crypto raise on. That
Definitely. Definitely.
whoever submitted
Yeah, by the way, that's
from
exactly what happened in the book industry when we did a lot of our tours in London Book Fair, and this is before this 2015, 2016, till 2017. We did a lot of these digital shows where ebook industry was just booming, just starting. And the biggest thing that they were talking about in the book industry was called the hybrid author. So here you technically can have the hybrid movie maker, right? Where you're creating where the movie maker, the person who's creating the script, is now partaking in the creation of the movie more so than would it be in another. So, which personally I like that idea. Let the person who created the script
as right. I mean, I've been in that. Yeah, I've been in the shoes of writing something for someone, and then you're not involved in all of it. Just go, and you just have to be like, okay, I'm letting go, and you do whatever you do with it. And then later, when you like the gap between the movie and the script is so large, it's like you're not even telling the story that was that was on the page. And
What a
it's like,
disaster.
can you take my name off this movie? But yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely. I mean, I have one idea. I'm not going to disclose it now. We're going to disclose it maybe in the future, in a couple of months from now. You
Okay.
already know the idea. I spoke to you about at least 3 times about it.
Mhm.
But I just want to tease the our viewers a little bit that we got another project potentially coming in that
Mhm.
we can get the crypto world to be involved in a little bit. So I just want to talk about what we're doing right now with megamovies.io, which is also megamoviesnft.com. Both URLs will get to that URL. It should be up by tomorrow. Individuals can obviously buy position as an extra through cryptocurrency. Dollars and cents are also available purchases. We'll direct people how to do that, but it's better to do it as an NFT. So this way it's recorded that you have submitted X amount of funds. In addition, we also have an ability of investment. Of course, every investment as an investor, you have to, review the risks and the rewards. We will obviously outline those rewards. We will obviously outline the details of the investment. There will be different tiers of investments, different perks. Perks maybe have a barbecue or a dinner with the cast and the crew, maybe behind the scenes of the we'll do for certain investors and for certain individuals, in order to get those things funded, and they'll get their 20% return. Of course, depending on each tier, some tiers we're gonna fly them over ourselves. Some tiers they're gonna have to fly over themselves, as opposed for us taking the hit on the thing. So we're gonna make it where people believe we're gonna be more interested in getting involved in production of a movie. I mean, I think that's where iShook really comes in play here. And for Loaded Deck to be the first movie, I'm excited about it. By the way, I'm very excited about it. I love the cast. I love the crew in the sense of the peoples that we met, Kevin, Daniel, and the others that hopefully we're going to be able to do podcasts with them for us to A, learn how the movie industry works, B, get this Loaded Deck thing off the ground, right? And get iShook already in the expanding its content acquisition of now, movies and film and other things that we're trying to get into. And I think that's very important, especially integration with blockchain tech and potentially AI technology as well. I mean, that's where we're coming in as a tech company and as a company who's very interested in content.
Yeah.
But I think the most important part is, a person like you, when it comes to creating a platform like iShook, I mean, do we want the individuals to come in? Because we also have to take in consideration, right? I mean, dollars and cents counts, right? You want to make a product marketable. It's not just making a movie. You want to make it marketable. I mean, I could tell a story. It could be a boring story, and it's not marketable. And the artist, like a person like you, would say, no, I want it that way and only that way. But a production company will have to say, listen, you gotta tweak it up a bit because it's not marketable. Who's gonna sit for this movie 3 hours that you want? It's not gonna happen unless it's a Lord of the Rings, action-packed movie. And there's plot within plots and climaxes within climaxes, and it's like intertwined, and it's like crazy style writing and presentation.
Yeah, I mean, marketing is hugely important, and that's a lot of the reason why you hire in actors. You bring in actors like Kevin Sorbo and Daniel Baldwin and the others that we're gonna pull into, and Quentin Aaron and Dean Bakar that's on here. We've got London De Leon. She's got a name out there that's pretty good, and she's been experiencing this. So I mean, that's kind of why you bring those people in. But even with having big actors, you can sometimes have something flop, as you talked about earlier.
Right.
You mentioned like Brad Pitt or or
It's
whatever.
not
But I
that
mean,
this Brad
usually
Pitt,
those
God
are
forbid.
those giant movies too, though.
Right,
That
right.
it's like, oh, we just spent 100 million on this, but the writing wasn't good, and so when people watched it, they're like, I'm gonna tell my friends not to watch this movie rather than
Right.
tell my friends to watch this movie.
So,
Um,
well,
so
again, if those movies have bad writing, right, and they flop because of
bad
that,
writing or bad execution of the writing. Like sometimes you'll have like,
but they
say,
don't know this.
yeah.
These big players don't know that. They don't see that when they're doing it.
Well, I mean, sometimes, hey, if you're making 30 million for a movie, is like Ryan Reynolds often does at this point. You know, here's 30 million. Go do. All right, you're paying me. I'm going to make this movie. But I mean, sometimes you can't tell. I mean, there's like when if you really study writing, and screenplays and stuff like that, and you get a sense of what needs to happen. When you're maybe acting, you just look at, ooh, this is a fun character to play, and not necessarily does it have every element of the writing to make this into a powerful story that's going to move people. It's like, ooh, am I interested in this character? Yeah, I'll play the part, right? Oh, is this like some this has such and such director attached to it? Oh, of course, I'll go and direct with them without even seeing what the script is. Um, right? So I mean, there's lots of reasons that someone might sign on to a movie that has a script that's lesser, and sometimes you start with a good script, and then you get a lot of different hands, involved in making little tweaks and having these notes, and we want to do this, we want to add something like this to it. A lot of times now you're seeing, oh, let's drop in these little political things here and there that's not part of the story, and just starts to wreck the movie, where they're trying to send some message to people.
Right, right.
Um,
No, no doubt. I think that, by the way, that's also key. Take politics away from entertainment.
yeah,
If you're
yeah.
creating
I
a
mean,
good entertainment, don't bring in things that are sensitive in that level,
yeah,
unless it's a movie about politics, right?
yeah. I mean, you can make a movie about those things if you're
Right,
specifically getting into that and you're dealing
right,
with that
right.
in some way, and you have a character that's going through. I mean, you go all the way back to Aristotle, and we're looking at the same kinds of things where you've got your comedies and your tragedies, which I mean, most movies now would be considered comedies under him, even if they're not funny, because it's where the character experiences change and therefore succeeds at the end. Though you do have some tragedies that end up doing really well, like your Scarface, where you know it ends pretty tragically for for Scarface, pretty bloody and poorly, because he doesn't, he goes in the wrong direction. He doesn't overcome like
Right.
his issue. So that one's a tragedy. But yeah, I mean, the like basic storytelling has been around forever, but like this, the what really works as far as a movie and stuff, it incorporates that, but does it in a very specific way for the audio and visual, kind of cues and stuff that that make it to where we're really engaged in this movie and
Right.
feel what these characters are going through,
Right.
and want to root for a character. Right. I mean, sometimes you'll just have these movies where you got this character, like, I don't care what happens to this character, and so the movie's gonna fail.
Right.
Right. So uh and it can be tricky. So if the director isn't totally connected with that story, they might be missing these key moments that you need to have in there. When you get a bunch of studio notes and start adding things and subtracting things and adjusting things, like one small, I mean, people don't realize this when they start giving notes, and often on things, is you make one small change, like, oh, just fix this little thing, do this, that affects the entire story. Often it can affect the entire script. So you can't just change one little thing over here and think that's not going to have
Right.
an effect
Affected
on
later.
the setup
Right.
for the ending, or for maybe some of the climaxes before the ending. But
Right.
but
So
but, but
definitely,
yeah.
I mean, definitely that's why we also did the comic, right? We came out with that idea with the comic, which is available now. We're gonna do an NFT on the comic, we're gonna do a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Obviously things are taking a little bit slower in pace, but we're trying to get it, accurate and good, and we want to get it to the, nice high-end level as possible. But I think ultimately the comic industry, where we
Mhm.
take these stories and are able to maybe get them behind a little bit background of the movie so people can get involved. I think it's very big. I mean, it worked in total for Marvel Comics.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
comic industry in general is continuously growing. Anime is growing. Uh,
Yeah.
you get your story out there, and then you can get that big movie coming out. You also
Yeah,
testing
it's a huge market to
waters.
build up an IP. Yeah, absolutely, and it's fun too. Like, you can go back and play with some of these characters that, you know, they're maybe a side character in the movie, but then in the comic they are the main character. You get to explore their character a little bit and discover their backstory and how they got to where they're at in that movie a little bit more. Yeah, and trying to hit moments in their past that aren't revealed in the movie itself, so it kind of keeps it a separate thing, but still kind of builds that world, and to get people into that character a little bit, and these different characters that would be excited to see what happens with the movie and stuff like that. Yeah.
Definitely. So I'm gonna definitely, after this podcast, we're gonna definitely create a link where people can submit their scripts for your review.
Mhm.
That's gonna be definitely gonna happen. We'll announce that as well. We'll probably put the link on the YouTube video where we have this and all other social media platforms. But what's the last message you can tell a person who wants to write something, wants potentially a production made, and maybe we can get iShook involved with, and obviously with what we're doing also together involved. Get it funded with a mega movie platform, like getting the investment out there where people can be partake in the investment production. Again, everyone has to take their own risk. They have to talk to their own financial advisors before doing so. That's a given. That we're not here to tell people what to do, but we're giving them the access to partake. I mean, between you and me, people are already doing 9% on crypto returns by giving on money on crypto. I
Mhm.
think it's better to give it on a movie, and you actually have some, validation in the movie. You'll get accreditation in the movie, you'll get position in the movie, you'll get something in the movie, and you'll get your return on the movie. So I think that's the best NFT you can actually ever get. It's better than what's it called? Than an artwork. It's a IP that's going to be out there, and your name and image will be there. You'll partake in the production and creation of this thing, and you'll get accredited for it. But what's
Yeah.
the message you can give to people? Like, what is the key? Like, one sentence thing for the close out of this podcast. What's the one message you can tell a person that if he presents, I mean, he could be biased. He say, "Oh, my script is the best script," right? But what are you looking at for a script that says, "Okay, this is potentially, a marketable script. Let's go easy, marketable." All right, so this way everybody wins. It might not be the best movie in the world, but it's a marketable movie.
All right.
What message would you give a person?
Well, so I guess you're looking at what genre. More genres you get, the more you have to really know those genres to understand how they work together. But when looking there, I want to see these characters. I want to see that you know what you're doing. So I mean, if you as a writer, you need to have developed your craft a bit. You need to have read some different books on screenwriting, read different screenplays, watch movies, analyze like how they actually work. To go through and say, okay, I'm able to create these characters that are engaging and interesting, especially your protagonist, main character, have your antagonist there that makes sense in there. You're hitting these moments of okay, I understand who this person is, kind of what their flaw is, what issue it is that's kind of holding them back or making them have some kind of shield or issue thing that they're putting out in front of the world to kind of protect themselves, that's maybe creating problems for them. And I care about this character. You can make me care about this character and go on a journey where they start to have to deal with that flaw. And if they're going to end up winning and defeating this external problem that you're setting up inside of this movie, that has to work on this internal level of I'm getting over my kind of own issue. And we're seeing that progress through the movie in a way that draws me in as first as a reader, since I'm just reading your script. But I mean, I can picture it as far as what it looks like in the thing, but yeah, it really has to come down to that storytelling element. Can you draw me in with characters that I'm really interested in, especially your protagonist, that they're going through. You have that strong situation with an antagonist and stuff that they're having to face. They have to get there and have to overcome some sort of personal issue that they're going on in order to come out the other side successful. And it's okay if they fail, but if they fail, then things aren't going to turn out too well for them at the end.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, those are the big things that you want to do, and those are the things that people latch onto and like have come to expect out of stories. Is these stories move me and create these emotional things in me because I understand the emotions of this character and I see them growing or failing to grow, and I can kind of relate with my own issues, even though they're very different maybe than what the characters are. So yeah.
All right. So everybody, look us up for Loaded Deck movie and megamovies.io, and hopefully people will be able to partake in our journey here of developing this beautiful movie with great actors, professional staff, professional directors, and individuals who have known this business. So stay tuned with iShook Co. channel and all of our iShook social media platforms. And don't forget to sign up at iShook.com. Don't forget to sign up at megamovies.io and to partake in our production of movies today. So be well, have a great day, and we hope that you visit us next time.
All right.